Morning, guys. So what we're doing that we didn't want to have to do is we're going to have to winterize the motorhome. We were hoping we weren't going to have to winterize the motorhome because we weren't going to be here but a few weeks and then we'd be headed south. But it looks like this Sunday we're going to get into the teens. 19 degrees is what they're calling for. And I don't want to cause damage to the motorhome. So for a $3 bottle of RV antifreeze, we're going to go ahead and winterize this. I have never winterized this coach before yet, but we're going to walk through it together and hopefully figure it out. I did look at a couple of videos from Tiffin. Tiffin puts out on YouTube as well how to winterize the motorhome. I looked at a couple of different ones, and I think between the two of them, they missed a couple steps, and I'll talk about those. But we're going to go through and we're going to do all the steps. So I even have a couple of ideas of my own in addition to those videos because they didn't show a couple things that I think are important. So we're going to start with the tank. The freshwater tank does have some water in it. So I need to go ahead and open the valve. You may not be able to see the valve in the video. I'm using this because I'm old, my knees, going on the concrete, that's not comfortable. So I use this moving pad so I can go down. Underneath here is a valve right here. You just have to open the valve and that'll drain your water tank. It's right here. There's a little T valve. So all these little T valves, if the handle is in line with the line, that means it's open. If it's perpendicular, it means it's closed. So you got to know that first off. Okay, while that's draining, we're going to go over here to the other side of the coach. This here is called the wet bay, and basically it's called a wet bay because everything in here is dealing with wet. So that's your sewer connections, that's right here. We're not going to be dealing with that today. And then you got your water lines, your water pump, your water filter. Here's your water pump, your water filter. So in one of the videos that I saw, the guy removed the water filter from this pump. From the filter housing. I think that's a good idea. The Tiffin video did not show that. I think you should because it's going to hold water. So all you do is you undo it, you take the filter element out, you put it in a baggie, you hold on to it because you can reuse it, and then dump all the water out of the housing, and then just put it back on. So I think that's an important step too because you're going to have water in that housing. That's not going to get flushed out with the rest of the system. So what we've done here, the first step you want to make sure, and this was in the Tiffin video, is you want to make sure this is over on city. And as I turn it over to city, the blue knob on the city, I can hear some air going into the line. I could hear it, and that's good. This is a step that actually happens a little later, but I'll go ahead and talk about it. This line here comes with the coach. It's a male threaded line. You want to look for your T connection that has a bib coming off of it, and you connect to that. That's your antifreeze line. So that's what you're going to pump antifreeze into your coach through all the lines. So remember all these water lines in the coach, whether they're in the floor or in the walls or wherever they are, they're all going to have water in them. So what you're trying to do is flush all the water out. And then we're going to replace it with antifreeze. So what you want to do is I've hooked this line to it, and I've already started doing it. You can see where it's wet. And then you open this valve, so it's open, and right away water is starting to drain down out of the lines. Now this is just residual water that will gravity feed down to its lowest point. You're going to have to use an air compressor to force out the water from the other lines that are not gravity fed down to this low point. You'll have some horizontal lines where water just sits in there. You'll have to blow it out. So the way you would do that is, I have a connector on this valve, but this is the one you would use. And I will put and I won't show all this because it would just be loud and take a lot of time, but I'm going to put compressed air, not more than 35 psi, to this line, and it's going to force all the water out of the lines. So I'm going to do that. But the next step before we do that, right before we do that, is to go ahead and depressurize the lines, depressurize the system. And we can do that on the other side of the coach. Whoo, my knees. Okay. The hot water tank is another issue. This system has a hot water on demand system. But there is still water in there. I think it's about a quart of water or so, give or take. So that water, you don't want that to freeze because it'll completely destroy the system. It'll crack the system. Most of your older motorhomes will have a water tank and a freeze plug in the bottom. You just remove that freeze plug. What I did in my old camper that had that type system is I just removed the freeze plug and it drains all the water out for you. So it's really easy to do. I even put a valve on it so I could drain it by just flipping the valve, and I would just leave it open. And then you have to go in the motorhome, in that trailer, and you have to, there's two valves you'd have to close off so that you bypass the hot water heater. Usually it's a 6-gallon hot water heater. In this case, we don't have a hot water heater. We have a Truma system, which is it's a hot water on demand system. So what you got to do first is turn the power off. That's just a safety precaution. Then you'll depressurize the system by pulling this open like that. Now we haven't been running this in a while, so there probably is no pressure to it. Then you'll release this yellow line here. You'll open this up, and there is a filter element in here that should pull out. And there'll be some water that runs out. That's what you want. You're trying to get rid of this water. You pull this filter out. I think this is really neat how this is made. It's so much easier. This is a screen. And you could clean this before you put it back in. There's a little bit of stuff on there. Just get a water hose or under a sink and just clean it. It's just a screen. Yeah, for the larger particles. But let that continue to just drain. You want it to drain and be completely free of water. So we'll just leave it open like that. I'll just set this right here. Pretty neat. Like that's drained, it's done. We got the fresh water tank that's still draining. I know it was about a third of the way full, so that's going to probably drain for a little while. But we just depressurized the entire system by doing this. So now you have air on the other side, and you have a vacuum air break on this side. So now all the water can drain, and it can drain faster. So we're going to give this a few minutes and go ahead and let that drain. Okay, so our next step is to put pressurized air through the line. So the way I did this is because I have an adapter on here. I'm going to go ahead and use this adapter, hook my drinking water hose back up to it. I also like to have this valve on the end. So I've added all this stuff. These aren't requirements, but what I did is I'm going to use this hose here so I don't have to unhook all this because I have thread tape on there and I don't want to have to redo it. So I've already pressurized my tank to about 35 pounds over here. And I'm just going to use my pressure gauge, really and just feed. I'm going to hold it onto here. It fits nicely. Use my hand to hold it in place and just apply a little pressure, and you can hear it. It'll start to push. You can see water coming out the bottom of the antifreeze line. So it's going to push all the residual water out of the line. Another thing it's going to do, it's also going to take the water out of my drinking water line because you don't want that to freeze either. So I'm doing both. I'm pushing water out of the system in the RV, and I'm also pushing water out of my drinking water line at the same time. Now this ain't going to get it all out, but it's going to get out pretty close. You want to get out as much as you can before you feed in the antifreeze. I can hear the pressure kind of going down. I have a small tank here, so I think that'll be enough. That'll do what I need to do. This is the antifreeze line, and it's good here to -50. This is good for here, but in Alaska, they had antifreeze that would go down to minus 100. So this would be good here. Then we'll go to the next step. Okay, so we've used the air compressor and we pushed all the water out of the system. So we're back over here to the Truma system. So we're going to be putting this back together, the filter and all that back together. A couple of things you want to note that was not in the Tiffin Wayfarer video, I think should be. Since you have this out, there's 2 O-rings on here. Just kind of do a visual inspection, make sure they haven't been torn or ripped. In this case, they look fine. But you might as well go ahead and look at these while you're doing it, because if they're torn or they've been broken off, you'll want to get them replaced. Okay, here it says top, so it's pretty easy. You just put it back in the same way you took it out. And remember to close this vent back. We're going to keep the power off. We can keep it off until we need to use it again next time we take the unit out. It's safer to just leave it off. And you're done with this. Okay, next step is inside. Let me turn some lights on in here. Okay. So we're going to remove the bottom drawer here. This is for access to the water tank. And I don't remember how to release these drawers. I found it. I'll just set it right here.
I'll be showing off all your lacy underwears.
Now, let me take a look first. I think there are 2 valves in here you have to close. So there is a small water heater here on the Truma system.
Look at all those wires.
So let me stick my head in here so I can see where they are first. Da, 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 da. Well, there's supposed to be some valves in here you have to close off, but I'm not seeing them.
There's so much going on in that little area.
There's a lot of wires in here. Okay, so we had a little pause in the action here. I had to go make a phone call to Tiffin and talk to their service tech to make sure that I was in the right place, because their books don't explain it and their videos certainly don't explain it. And I told the tech guy that their videos, they need to go back and give more detail. So we got the information we needed. I just needed to confirm that what I was doing was correct. So if you come closer here, I'm going to try to show where the 2 valves are. And I'll take the camera. And down there to the right, you can see a white T. Well, it's not a T, it's actually a white valve, and then up and to the left of that is the black one. It looks black. You have to turn those, and I've already turned them. So they're perpendicular to the lines that they were on, and that bypasses the Truma system. But you can see there's a lot going on in here. And it looked from the videos we saw like those valves were over here on these lines, but they're not. They're back over here. And so that's why I needed to call and make sure that they were the right ones. So, yep, they're already turned, so we're done there.
And how easy was it to get somebody on the line to talk to you about it?
Yeah, good question. Because a lot of times, if you're looking to buy an RV, you're investing a substantial amount of money in some cases. Make sure that a good test is to call their service department, see if you can reach a person to an actual tech, and they'll entertain and answer your questions. This guy was very respectful, was very nice. I told him about the couple problems I had, and he says, yeah, that's kind of normal. This is how you fix it. I said, yeah, I've already got them fixed. I just wanted you to know, that these were issues, and, maybe you guys can do something on your end to just make a better product. So he was glad. But yeah, I just wanted to verify that those valves were the ones for winterizing, and I wasn't, doing something I shouldn't have been doing. So he did verify it. We got them turned. And then all you do here is you just replace the drawer. We'll do that off camera. You don't need to see all that.
I will even say that this is not the first time you've called them to ask questions.
Yeah.
And even in previous calls, they were quick to help and very patient and took the necessary time to go over things with you.
Yeah, I love that a manufacturer, that they don't just give you that short answer, bring your coach in, schedule an appointment. That's not always convenient. And sometimes it's a quick fix and the owner is willing to do it. Just tell me how to do it or what to do or point me in the right direction. Am I doing the right line? Is it the right valve? Is it, what type of crimper do I need? All those things. He said the worm style clamp that I used will probably leak eventually. And I'm aware that's not the best crimp to use, but it's kind of hard to get to that line. So the crimper, the specialized crimper that they use, I don't have the tool for it. So you would have to have the crimper and the tool for it. But it is something I'm keeping an eye on. So if it does leak, I know how to fix it properly with the crimping tool and all that. But the worm gear, it works fine. So it's great. But what's great is that they call you, they talk to you, they answer your question, they come to the phone, and that's great. I love it.
Very rare these days.
Yeah, so Tiffin's been a good model. We've had good service with them. We have not had to take the coach in. They've been able to tell us how to fix it on the road. Because sometimes, let's face it, you're in a place where you can't get there. Like you're in Canada, you're in Alaska. Look, just tell me your best fix. I'll try and fix it. Just tell me where to go and what to use and what to do, and I'll do it. So it's great that they do that and offer that to the owners.
We definitely appreciate good customer service, and
It's
I feel like
very important.
if you have spent money with a company, that's exactly what you should get.
Sure. So yeah, that's it. Now we're back outside. All right, so now I got sun in my face, but that's good because it's warming up because it was like 40 degrees this morning, wasn't it?
It was a little chilly.
So the wind makes it a little chilly, but it's warming up nice. So we're back into the wet bay. So what we're doing now is we get our hose. This is when you would connect it, which I've already connected it. You would connect it here to this bib. Make sure your valve is open, which it is. Your valve is in line with the line. That means it's open. You're going to stick this line into your antifreeze because you're going to suck the antifreeze out of the bottle. So make sure it's all the way down to the bottom. You're going to flip your city connection over to dry, which is normally what it's on when you're using your pump. And then you go ahead and you can turn your pump on right here. There's several places on this unit to turn the pump on. I need to drain this too. I haven't done that yet. But we'll go ahead and do this. And you can hear it. So now we're going to go inside and show you what to do inside. Okay, I want to show y'all something real quick. This is something that Tiffin should probably do with their units, and this one doesn't have it. What you have to do too is this is your water filter. It's nice to have an onboard water filter. It's nice that it's in the wet bay, but it's full of water. So I took this apart and I took the filter out and I put it back together. But I think what Tiffin should have here is up here at the top, they should put in a bypass. It won't hurt this to have this full of water, but antifreeze, but that's what's going to happen. We may have to get more antifreeze because this is going to fill this up. If there was a bypass, then you could shut the two valves off and open the line and bypass this, just like you do the hot water heater, because you don't want to fill that up with antifreeze. So I think they should have done that here too. They do sell the kits and you could put one in, but I don't have one right now, so we just took the filter out and put it back together, but this is going to fill up with antifreeze. So it's one of those things. Okay, so now we have the water pump on and we're pulling the antifreeze, and you need to run it through your lines. So you do one side first. Now you see the water. Once the water leaves, it should turn pink. The pump will eventually pump all the antifreeze up here to all the lines. Still pushing out quite a bit of water. That's going to leave air in the lines until the lines get full of the antifreeze. So here we are, we've got our antifreeze outside, and we're using the pump to suck it through the lines. So then you open up each of your water valves, and you should start to get pink to flow through the water. You only need to get a little bit in order to get enough into your P-traps that whatever water is sitting in your P-trap doesn't freeze. And that's all you need, is just really just a teaspoon in there or so. That'll be enough.
Pink for the tatas.
Pink for the tatas. And you got to do that with all your water systems. So you got to do it with your toilet, which we've done that here. Let me turn the light on. So you can see there's pink in the toilet. That's what you want. There's pink in the sink.
Pink in the sink.
There's some air in there too, but the air is okay. As long as you got pink coming out, you're good. Same thing over here in the shower. As long as you got pink coming out. We had some pink coming out. Now we got air in the lines. But you get the gist of it.
I guess it has to fart too.
Yeah, well, it's trying to push it uphill. So it's struggling to do that.
That's called a waterline fart.
A waterline fart. So that's really all there is to it. Now, when it comes time for you to go back to your city, your drinking water, all you have to do is just let it run until you see it clear up, and then you can drink it, because that's supposed to be safe antifreeze. It's not going to hurt you. It'll just taste terrible. So as soon as you have fresh water running through your coach again, either from the tank or from city water connection, you just let it run for a little bit and get the pink out, and maybe let it run for a minute or two after that, and then it should all be flushed out of your system and you're right back up. So you don't have to remember how to do all these steps to go back to water, to go back to unwinterized. So winterize is where you got to remember to shut all your valves, and your coach is going to be different from this one, but all Tiffin Wayfarers are done the same. So if you have a Tiffin Wayfarer, that's how it's done. The only thing different on some of the models is you'll find the bypass valves for the Truma will actually be back where the bedroom is, but not in this coach. This is an RW, so it's up here in the front. You just pull out the third drawer and it's right down in there. So everything's accessible. Sometimes you got to get on your knees for a couple of these things, but it's all very doable. You don't have to send it to the dealership to do that. The main thing is to get all the water out of the lines. Some people don't even put antifreeze in. They'll just flush all the water out of the lines and then they call it good. But depends on how extreme your winters are, as to whether, we like to run the pink antifreeze through there. And even if it doesn't get all the water out, it'll mix with the water and it'll make it hard to freeze too. So we're only going down to 19 degrees. It may or may not freeze. I wasn't willing to risk it, because if you have to replace these lines, now you're talking about a lot of time, really, and some money involved.
And the bottles cost, what, $3?
They were $3.98, I think.
$3.98. And I would recommend getting 2. We did have to go back to the store to get an additional one because of what goes in where that water filter would be.
Yeah, that water filter takes up a lot, and so I think they should have installed a bypass for the water filter too. The only thing you need to put antifreeze in are the actual lines themselves. So what I'm going to do is, Walmart didn't have a bypass kit. So what I'm going to either do is go on Amazon and get a bypass kit to go above the water line, or I might get a different housing adapter the tops, it's the same size as a house sediment filter. So if you get a different type of the top unit that the filter housing screws into, some of them have a built-in bypass, and you just turn it and you're bypassed. You bypass filling up this entire filter encasement. So I think that's the way I'm leaning. I'd rather just toss that one and get another one with the bypass valve that's built in. Then I don't have to do all that extra plumbing.
In my opinion, that's another one of those things that they should just put in right out the gate. Why would you sell one without a bypass?
What's it going to cost you? Another $5? I mean, come on.
There's so many things. I have the same theory about gutters on your house. Now they sell those leaf guards and all that. Why don't they just come with it already?
Why don't they?
On there.
Yeah.
But I guess that's my little soapbox edition.
Yeah, there's a soapbox for you. So how about mobile homes? Do you know you have to buy the stairs? They don't come with stairs. What are you supposed to do? Jump up into them? There's a lot of things that are just...
Honey, give me a boost. We're going in.
Some things should just come with.
Common sense.
So I'm just coming over here
and the lack thereof.
To turn this pump off because I don't want to burn that pump up. So this coach has 3 places that you can turn that pump on and off. You can turn it on and off in the bathroom. You can turn it on right here at the master control panel. Or you can turn it off in the wet bay.
All right. So now we are winterized and we can see the pink in the sink.
Yes, there's pink in the sink. And that's what you want. Pink in the sink. So that's it from this DIY. We're going to do an oil change on the motor coach because when we drove it up to Alaska, we did an oil change. But we've almost got another 10,000 miles on the coach already. So we'll be doing another oil change. But that won't be this video because we're not ready to do that yet. I'm still waiting for the filter to show up from Amazon. Should be today. So I got the oil. I'm waiting on the filter. So
we'll see. It might be in the mailbox.
Hey, it might be. We'll have to check it. So thanks for joining us here at Madam Mayor's Adventures, where every day is another adventure.
Bye, y'all.